better to start our day than to think about artificial intelligence and think about AR. So thinking about mixed reality. So augmented reality, virtual reality, let's call it mixed reality. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our first speaker. His name is Callum Chance. He's a futurist, a journalist, and a best-selling author. His specialism is artificial intelligence, focused on how it impacts the way individuals, societies, and economies work. His writing is informed by a 30-year career in journalism and in business, which time he's been a marketer, he's been a strategy consultant, and he's been a CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome Callum Chance. Callum, are you there? Hopefully he's
Yes, I
there.
am.
He is, by the power of technology. Callum, I'm going to go straight to you. Thank you for all your insights.
Thank you, Julia, and good morning, everybody. I hope we're all sitting comfortably. I will admit I haven't yet got used to giving talks to an audience, some of whom are wearing pajamas, so I'm tempted to switch into motivational speaker mode and get us all doing... the clicker's not working. Colin, can you move a slide forward? There we go. Beg your pardon. So I'm tempted to get us all doing star jumps so we can see who's going commando. But don't worry, I will resist that temptation. As Julia said, over the last few months, we've all got more dependent on technology than ever before. COVID has been horrendous, and for many people, it's been completely catastrophic. But imagine what it would have been like 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, without the benefit of high bandwidth internet, of social media, and of course, of Zoom. Now, the reason we have all these fantastic tools at our disposal is, of course, the exponential improvement in the power of our technology. And our most advanced technology, increasingly, is artificial intelligence. And by a happy coincidence, that's the subject of this talk. And in this talk, I want to do three things. First, I'm going to describe what AI is and why it's become so important. Second, I'm going to talk about some of the very exciting things that artificial intelligence is going to give us over the next 5-10 years. And third, I'm going to invite you to come a little bit further forward into the future with what I call the economic singularity. So what is artificial intelligence? There's a lot of nonsense talked about it, but it's actually quite simple. Artificial simply means it was created by humans or by aliens, perhaps, but not by evolution or by God. Intelligence, we can summarize in 4 words: goal-oriented adaptive behavior. Goal-oriented adaptive behavior. So an entity is artificial intelligence if, sometimes a robot, but usually just software, if it learns as it pursues a goal. We know that artificial intelligence is increasingly our most powerful technology because it has taken us on in 4 big challenges and has thrashed us in all of them. In 1997, an IBM system called Deep Blue beat the world's best player of chess, Garry Kasparov. In 2011, another IBM system called Watson beat the world's best players of a TV quiz show called Jeopardy. In 2016 and 2017, a system built by DeepMind, based in North London, beat the 2 best players of the ancient board game of Go. But it was the year after that, in 2018, that we really suffered the final blow because an AI developed in Singapore assembled an IKEA chair in 9 minutes, and it didn't swear once. And I think we can probably all agree that's it. That's game over for the humans. The last 2 of these games were different from the first 2 because they happened after the Big Bang in AI. That took place in 2012 when a computer scientist called Jeff Hinton figured out how to apply a branch of statistics called machine learning to AI, and in particular, a subset of machine learning called deep learning. Before 2012, AI had done some remarkable things like winning chess, but nobody had ever really figured out how to make money out of it. Since 2012, AI has made a great deal of money, mainly for the tech giants, who, particularly Google and Facebook, have effectively stolen the advertising industry from Rupert Murdoch. He's not very happy about that, and that's one of the reasons for the techlash. But AI is spreading out beyond the tech giants. It's spreading throughout the economy, and increasingly it's going to make money and save money and add value for all of us. Deep learning, to oversimplify, works a little bit like the human brain. Machines can now be creative, they are creative, and they do learn. DeepMind didn't teach AlphaGo how to play Go, they taught it to learn how to play Go. Now, I should also stress, this is narrow artificial intelligence. It's not artificial general intelligence. It's nowhere near the same level as humans. The Terminator is a long way off yet. I do think that artificial general intelligence and superintelligence are coming, but that's a whole other talk. Now, today, deep learning systems are better than you at face recognition. They're overtaking us in speech recognition, and they're developing very fast in natural language processing. And that's the business of taking some information in natural language, processing it in some way, and then giving the result back in natural language. And if you've seen any of the text created by the current best natural language processing system, GPT-3 from OpenAI, you'll know how impressive it is. The reason for these advances is the exponential growth in the power of our computers. You've probably heard that the power of the compute power of the smartphone in your pocket is greater than the compute power available to NASA when they sent Neil Armstrong to the moon in 1969. All of those computers in Houston, less powerful than the smartphone in your pocket. And that's true, but it's out of date. Today, a top-end toaster has more compute power than NASA had. So hats off to Neil Armstrong. I don't know about you, but I would not go into space relying on the intelligence of a toaster. The other thing you need for today's cutting-edge AI systems is data, lots and lots of data. And you may have heard that GPT-3, that cutting-edge natural language processing system, used 175 billion parameters to deal with all its data. So that brings us to part 2 of the talk. We've heard about what AI is and why it's so important. What will it do for us in the next few years? First up, digital assistants. Today, Siri is a bit silly. You can ask Siri a question, it'll look the answer up on Wikipedia, and that's fine, but it can't do much more. But increasingly, Siri is going to get smart. In fact, Siri is going to get sexy, and this is Siri being sexy. In the coming years, you will send your digital assistant off into the internet to run errands for you, and you'll have conversations with it. Another remarkable innovation that's coming is self-driving cars. Now, you'd know that there have been some over-optimistic forecasts of when these would be ready. Engineers have a saying that the first 99% of any project takes the first 99% of the time available. The final 1% of the project takes the second 99% of the time available. But Waymo, a Google spin-out, now operates taxis in a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, where there is no driver and no safety engineer in the front. There are passengers in the back who are not Google employees, they're members of the public, and there's nobody in the front. So it's not going to be very long into the 2020s before these things are ready for prime time. And we should be excited by that, because at the moment, humans kill 1.35 million people every year. Road accidents are the single most common source of death if you're between 5 or 29, although probably not this year. But what you really want to know is, what is AI going to do in your industry? And I think the most exciting innovation that AI will give us in the next few years is digital twins. Combining artificial intelligence and augmented reality, you can create digital models of a building, of a space, and everything in it. And these are called digital twins. And you can endow these digital twins with enormous amounts of information, which are very useful to your users. So as a use case to demonstrate the power of this, I don't know about you, but when I go around a supermarket, I travel around it 4 or 5 times, once to do most of the basket filling, and then loads of times looking for the tomato juice and the paprika. With digital twins, you will tell your digital assistant, your Siri or Alexa, what you want to buy. You'll upload your shopping list into your digital assistant. It will then interrogate the digital twin of the supermarket and work out the most optimal route around the supermarket. So you only go around once. And also, it will present you with all the information you might want about the price offers, about nutritional value of the things you're buying, anything else that's particularly of interest to you. So, as building owners, you can, with digital twins, control access to different parts of your building, which could be particularly useful in times of a pandemic. You can set up tutorials to enable users and maintenance people to access various bits of equipment, saving time, and using predictive maintenance, saving money. A couple of other things that will affect your industry. One is chatbots. Using the same natural language processing technology, you will be able to provide your users with all sorts of information without taking up expensive human resource. And robotic process automation, RPA, as I'm sure you know, is the replacement by machines, by software robots, softbots, of humans doing repetitive work. Again, saving money, saving time, more efficient. Now let's look a bit further into our exciting exponential future and what I call the economic singularity. A singularity is a term borrowed from maths and physics, and it simply means a time when everything changes, the biggest possible transformation. And the economic singularity is the point where we need a different type of economy because humans can no longer earn money with jobs. This is happening because of the exponential growth in the power of our computers, which is known as Moore's law. Back in 1965, Gordon Moore, who later became one of the co-founders of Intel, noticed that the number of transistors being placed on his company's chips was doubling every 18 months. That gives you exponential growth. And we've all had in the last few months a brutal reminder of what exponential growth looks like. It's this chart. A common misperception about exponential growth charts, people think that there's a knee and then after that it slows down. The truth about exponential growth is you are always at the knee. Consequently, whatever has happened in the past, however impressive it was, it looks irrelevant. It looks trivial. What happens in the future, what's going to happen in the future, looks very exciting or very scary, depending on what process you're in. You are always at the beginning of the journey as long as your exponential curve continues. Now, you will have heard that Moore's law is dead or dying, and it's not true. It's evolving, and that is what it's always done. It hasn't stayed static ever since it was first observed. There is plenty more. The economic singularity is about the automation of jobs. And so far, automation has largely been mechanization. Machines have taken our muscle jobs. And that didn't cause enormous problems for humans, because when the machines took our muscle jobs, we had our cognitive abilities to fall back on. But that didn't work out so well for the horse. In 1915, there were 21.5 million horses working in America. The population of horses in America today is about 2 million. 21.5 million to 2 million is very severe technological unemployment. What's coming next is cognitive unemployment cognitive automation. And one of the groups that's going to be severely affected by that is drivers. And there's a lot of professional drivers. In the green states in this map, the most common job description is professional driver. But of course, that won't be true for long when self-driving vehicles are ready for prime time. Other people going to be affected are people working in warehouses, people working in call centers, but also people doing white-collar jobs like doctors and lawyers. Machines are increasingly taken over things that they do. Machines have unfair advantages. They don't get tired, they don't get sick, they don't get cranky, but most importantly of all, they're getting twice as good every 18 months, and we're not. So, in the short term, this won't lead to technological unemployment because there are two forces at play here. When a machine takes a human's job, that's called the substitution effect. Economists call it the substitution effect. But there's another effect called the compensation effect. Automation creates wealth because it's efficient, and wealth creates demand, demand creates jobs. And so, as long as there are some jobs which machines can't do and humans can, there will be jobs for humans. But in the future, at some point, we will probably create machines which can do almost all the jobs that we could do for money. Now, there are a lot of people who think this isn't true. They think automation has not caused unemployment in the past and therefore won't in the future. This is a terrible argument. It means that it says that past performance is a guarantee of future outcome. And if that was true, we wouldn't be able to fly. The thing is, because of exponential growth, the machines we have in 10 years' time will be 128 more times more powerful than the machines we have today. In 20 years, 8,000 times, and in 30 years, 1,000,000 times more powerful. It's inconceivable that those machines will not be able to do most of the things that we do for money. So we have a job. We have to work out how to make an economy where humans can't get jobs a great experience for humanity. And I think we can. A world in which machines do all the jobs could be a world in which humans do whatever we want to do. We play, we socialize, we learn. We could have a second renaissance. There are, of course, one or two problems. One, people often think is meaning, but I think there's two groups of people who show that you don't need a job to have meaning in your life. One is comfortably off retired people. You probably know some of these people, happy, busy, they do not want another job. The other group is aristocrats. For centuries, they didn't have jobs, most of them, and there was no great wave of existential despair among aristocrats. As you can see from this slide, some of them unfortunately did get jobs, unfortunately for the rest of us, that is. The real problem about the economic singularity, about technological unemployment, is money. How do we provide enough money for everybody to have a really great life, for everybody to be rich? A lot of people think the answer is universal basic income. I don't think it is. The little word in the middle of it, basic, gives it away. UBI, at best, just makes everybody poor, and that's not good enough. We have to make everybody rich. Now, it may sound bizarre, but I think it can be done, and it's called the economy of abundance. And what it means is we've made the price of all the goods and services that you need for a very good standard of living, we've made the price close to zero. I know it sounds bizarre, but if you think about the music industry, you can see how it could happen. When I was young, it was impossible for even a rich person to listen on a whim to any music that they might want to hear. Now, it's £10 a month. So, can we create analogs for Spotify throughout the rest of the economy? Can we create Constructify and Clothify? I don't have time to explain the detail of the argument, but I think we can. The exponential AI-driven future that we're going into, I think, can be really wonderful. There are challenges and there are potential pitfalls, but I think we can avoid them or mitigate them. A world in which humans do whatever we want to do, I think, could be a terrific world, and I think that's something that we could all get very excited about. Thank you.
Callum, thank you very much indeed. That was a fantastic start to the day. I can't tell you, just in terms of, and I really appreciate the fact you went back through some of the sort of basic principles of AI at the very beginning as a level setter, and then took us through through some of the complexities and some things to think about. And I'm inviting everybody, by the way, to be posting questions via chat, because thank you. You're going to come back again in about 20 minutes, where we're going to have a Q&A with our next speaker. And you mentioned there about digital twins and the role of artificial intelligence, artificial augmented reality and virtual reality, mixed reality. And that's exactly what our next speaker is going to talk about. So you've set up the day perfectly. Callum, look forward to speaking to you very soon, and thank you again.